Right, this is a video for a Honda CR-V. It's the 2.2 CDTi diesel ES version. Car you see here, it's on 69,000 miles, literally just turned. Benefits from a full service history and it's just had a new MOT placed on the car. Finished in Nighthawk black, but it has a few little extras on the outside which really do set this car off. Come around the front here, you can see the extra chrome strips under the Honda badge there. The whole car's in absolutely fabulous condition, it really is. Just sort of go down the side so you can see just how smooth and crisp those panels are. On the side of the doors here, we've got these extra door protectors on there. Front tyres in lovely condition, alloys completely unmarked. Likewise, rear wheel absolutely unmarked, tyres got tons of tread on it. On top of the car here, see these really nicely done chrome and black roof rails there, give it a lovely stance and profile. A lot of black cars do show a lot of marks, but this one is about as free as you'll ever see for a car of its age and mileage. So we've got a little strip protector on the bumper there, so if it lifts up and hits the garage door or something, stops it snagging as well. And then down the near side of the car here, again, hopefully you can see, panels all lovely condition. Again, rear tyre, absolutely superb. Alloy, without any marks in it whatsoever. And same door protectors on this side. It's a really good sign of good ownership, it really is. Last wheel, again without any marks in it, and tyre absolutely spot on. It's a really grand looking vehicle. Bonnet and bumper, yeah, very clean and largely free of any major stone chipping, so only very tiny stuff. Right, coming into the boot area, absolutely huge boot in here. Got a set of overmats there which have been placed in the boot for the next owner. Rear parcel shelves still intact, but it is a huge area in there. In the rear of the car, absolutely tons of leg room in the back of these CR-Vs. And these seats here, if I just put my hand down, underneath here there's a bar which you can pull the seats backwards and forwards to give you an even bigger boot space. And these little tabs here, put those down, they can go up at different angles on the back. Driver's door card here with obviously controls for electric windows. Got a nice chrome kick plate as you come into the car. And the seats of the vehicle, driver's seat, really lovely condition. Likewise the passenger one over there. So inside the car now, obviously engine running. Over here we've got this little cubby hole at the top, an extra little chrome strip which wasn't standard, has been put underneath there as well. Inside the glove box you've got a full owner's manual and your lock and wheel nut keys to the right hand side. Sensor here, we've got controls for the dual zone climate control and your radio and CD. And you've got the 6-speed gearbox, that's a very smooth shifting, and the gator around the gear lever, apart from this edge on here which you can see, generally very good. It's got a bit of a weakness on them in all honesty. Come over here onto the dashboard there, you can see 69,099 miles. Engine's running, no warning lights on there apart from the low fuel. Wheel controls for radio and the cruise control system there. Underneath the bonnet of the car, nicely presented and very well laid out engine bay. This is the CDTi engine, very highly regarded in the trade. It delivers over 40 miles to the gallon, very comfortably in these. You can get more for 45, driven carefully. No DPF filters on these cars, which is a true bonus because they're causing nightmares in the trade. And it's a cam chain driven engine, so there's no belt to change whatsoever. So coming inside, we've got a MOT for the vehicle until the 23rd of October next year, and no advisories whatsoever on there. And let's just scroll across. You can see you've got a lovely service history on the car. The first 5 I think were done by Honda than another main dealer, but another manufacturer, and we've just serviced the car ourselves.
Right, this is a video for a Honda CR-V. This is the 2.2 diesel ES version. Car's registered PJ07AUV. Mileage currently on the car 69,101 miles. This video should follow on from a walk around video we did of the vehicle, which hopefully gave an exterior appraisal of the car and interior too. Purpose of this video is just to give a brief drive of the car, so if anyone's coming any distance to come and see us, you can be reassured that if there's any issues with the car in terms of the drive of the car, then I can let you be aware of them before you set off to us. First things first, the car, it was -6 this morning when I started it, and it started pretty much first turn of the key. Settled into a lovely smooth, very quiet idle, no smoke, nothing from the engine whatsoever, which you wouldn't expect on any of these Honda diesels, to be honest with you. It is very, very quiet. The clutch is very light, very, very positive, bites really, really nicely. There's no squeak from the pedal, no clicking from the pedals. The brakes are really solid, really lovely, strong brake pedal on the car. Gearbox, really nice, slick shifting. The whole car does feel, as we knew when we bought the car, it's been well looked after, as though it has been very well looked after mechanically, and it's got that lovely kind of tight feel about it of a car that's has had good ownership on the vehicle. Steering and the chassis exhibit no signs of wear whatsoever. It really does drive very, very nicely. The suspension, there's no noise from the suspension at all from underneath, other than the normal sort of thumps that you get from just going to potholes. But there's no clonks or sort of track rod end noise or anti-roll bar links, which sometimes go on cars. This car's does drive very, very nicely. Gearbox, as I said, it's a 6-speed manual gearbox. Honda always do good gearboxes. They're world renowned for it, and this one's no different. It's a nice, positive, nicely weighted gearbox. There's no slack in it at all. The gate around there is really good. Again, on the CR-V, there's a bit of a weakness. They can sort of fray away. There's a tiny little bit of wear around the top end where the hand's gone down. But in reality, there's very, very little wear inside this car at all. Track's absolutely bullet straight. There's no wobble or shimmy through the steering wheel. Braking for speed exhibits no shudders through the brake pedal at all, so the discs are obviously in good condition. And they cruise very, very nicely. I've pretty much lost count of how many CR-Vs I've had now. My wife's currently got one, I've got one. They hardly vary. With big mileages they might, or if they're not particularly well looked after, like any car, they can feel a little bit loose. But generally speaking, they drive absolutely brilliantly. It's very easy to see why the CR-V, both in diesel and petrol form, has such a strong following in the used car market. The reality is, when most people are shopping CR-V, they're probably looking at things like the Toyota RAV4, possibly Nissan X-Trail, Land Rover Freelander, maybe the VW versions, or Touran or Touareg, or whatever they call the things. But what sets the CR-V apart really is the fact that its reliability and build. The X-Trails are more troublesome. There's no two ways about it. Nice cars to drive. They're all nice cars to drive. The RAV4 is a bit of a plain Jane by comparison to the CR-V. It's probably it's a personal opinion, but I don't think it's as well styled. But certainly hasn't got anything like the amount of interior room that the CR-V has. And its diesel engine, especially the 180 horsepower version, is a nice engine to use, but is a troublesome engine. The lesser horsepower one's a good engine. You know, the Freelander is a utterly brilliant car to drive. You know, in terms of chassis and, you know, obviously clearly off-road ability, it's probably got the edge on the CR-V. But the reality is, unfortunately, its reliability is absolutely dreadful. You know, we won't sell them. We won't even take one on part exchange, unfortunately, anymore. Such as the lack of reliability with the vehicles, and it's just something we just don't want to get involved in. Then the VWs are, so they're fine up to sort of 5 years old, but when they're kind of between sort of 5 and 10 years old, again they can have glitches that the Hondas just don't really suffer from. This is, you know, it's a lovely engine. It, you know, does pull really hard, gets up to speed really nicely. It settles into a really nice controlled ride, which isn't always the case with a four-wheel drive. It just feels like a tall car. So most people that drive the CR-Vs absolutely love them. So we've got no intention of ever coming away from them, and I've tried every make and model now and keep coming back to the same thing. A couple of other little features on the car, which is standard fare on all the CR-Vs. Obviously it's a four-wheel drive car, but Honda very quickly worked out that the vast majority of people weren't going to be going down country lanes with the things, sort of up to axles in mud. 99% of the time they're going to be on tarmac like this. So why have a four-wheel drive system that was constantly running, eating up fuel, eating up tyres, you know, potentially sort of prop shafts and drive shafts whirring away constantly with under load. So what Honda decided to do was basically the car, to all intents and purposes, will run in front-wheel drive the whole time, unless four-wheel drive is needed. That way you minimise fuel losses, which is why its economy is so much better than most of its competitors. It gets through tyres far more gently than other makes and models. And in terms of reliability, you know, touch wood, I've never, or we as a garage have not touched a single one on its four-wheel drive system. And we've sold literally hundreds of these cars. So the way it works basically is it used to be called real-time all-wheel drive, which is quite a name. And what happens is if the car senses the front wheel starting to spin, let's say in a bit of snow, or you're towing a caravan across a wet pitch, it'll automatically introduce the rear wheels to give you a four-wheel drive, and it works incredibly well. And I tow a caravan, and I've, you know, go around all year round, and I've not even come close to getting stuck. And, you know, in those cases the four-wheel drive has been activated pretty much every time I've driven the car. It's a brilliant system. There's no switches, there's nothing to do, nothing to touch. It'll do it all for you. So very, very clever indeed. So as I'm driving here now, I'm looking at the dashboard. Apart from a fuel light on, there's no warning lights on the car at all, which you don't really expect to see on the Hondas. The interior of the car is great. It's a lovely place to sit and drive. It's a very natural driving position. The pedals are straight ahead of you. The steering wheel's exactly the right position for, you know, long distances. Very comfortable driving. Gear stick nice and high up, so in changing gears, an absolute doddle. And as I said, because it's such a slick gear change, as you can see there, it makes it a kind of a joy to drive. On top of that, you've got this really lovely dashboard. You know, it's very, very clearly laid out. Nice, high, big, simple, easy to use radio stereo system. You've got your dual zone climate control system down here again, which is a joy to use. compared to kind of the modern, more complicated things for no apparent reason. And all the other switchgear, again, it's just got that lovely, well-engineered feel about it, which is obviously what you get from, you know, one of the finest, you know, car builders in the world. But essentially, as I said, that, you know, the point of this road test was just to give you the confidence to know if you're coming, whether it be 10 minutes down the road or flying from Northern Ireland or Scotland or France, where we get loads of our customers from these days. You can rest assured, if you come to drive the car, it drives exactly as it should. If there was anything on the car that I needed to tell you about, I would. I always do. But in terms of the drive of the car, I simply cannot fault it. Obviously, if there's anything I've missed on the video, or we've missed in our description of the car that you need to ask, apologise if you know, if I have missed it or neglected to mention it. But do give us a call, and you know, we'll hopefully answer any questions you may have on the car.